Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Opposite the Monitor, and today we're going to get into CyberPunk's expansion, Phantom Liberty, and how it completely overhauls the entire game of the actually installed game already. So we're going to get into that and just kind of go over the different little items and things that CD Projekt Red has implemented into the game. But Anthony, I know that you. How far have you got into CyberPunk as of now? Like I know we had a rocket launch, started kind of like, started kind of terrible, you know what I'm saying? But broken, but
Yeah, because of that, I never actually bought the game or even played it.
oh man. Okay. So actually that kind of actually opens up a whole new door to this. So that means that, like if Phantom Liberty aims to kind of fix all of the original issues and enhance some of the other aspects of the game as far as like weapons, combat system, vehicle combat. They plan to introduce cyber psychosis from the Cyberpunk animated show. Yep.
Yeah, I can see that shit being dope as hell.
So it's like, knowing that information and everything like that, like, is that kind of like more enticing? I do know that Phantom Liberty is supposed to be coming at a price. It's $30 for the DLC if you already own the game, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna do like a complete like Ultimate Edition or bundled edition, anything like that. Yeah, they hand it out for games that clearly ain't like that's not game of the year at all. I've seen that before. Like, people can just self-proclaim that they're game of the year or whatever like that, But so does that kind of like entice you, or is that something that now that that they're gonna fix a lot of this stuff in Cyberpunk, like for someone who hasn't purchased the game because of the reputation that it garnered on PlayStation and everything like that, like is that something that kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna dive in, I'm gonna get this, we're gonna like kind of like enjoy Night City.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely was gonna say because of this and reading everything that they're redoing and fixing, and from what you told me of like the AI and how like of the police and how it's like practically non-existent in certain situations,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's actually being fixed. I definitely was thinking about getting it, but not at because I'm gonna be playing on PS5, but I'm not gonna get it at a $70 price tag. That's for damn sure. But I definitely was planning on getting this and just seeing what it's actually about now that it's actually getting fixed. And that's another thing I wanted to say. Like, I love how CD Projekt Red didn't just like completely abandon this as it seems as Xbox did for Redfall.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they're still trying to make this the game that they promised from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like EA, I mean, you can also throw EA in that boat. I'm pretty sure I saw an article though of Redfall implementing a new update. It was a major patch that was like, I want to say it was like maybe 20 gigs. It was a pretty hefty update. Yeah, it was a pretty hefty update. I don't think there's no saving that game. There's no amount of updating and patching like can fix what they've already released. They should have either delayed it or completely canceled it. But
They didn't even make it right either.
no,
They didn't offer people refunds. They didn't offer people like gift cards or like money towards the next game.
nah,
They didn't do shit.
nah. And I mean, they're not gonna do that. Like, I mean, even the devs were hoping that Xbox would cancel it. But yeah, I mean, you could throw EA in there too with Anthem. Anthem was a game that they promised, and it was like, oh, it's gonna be amazing and all this other stuff. You're gonna be able to go, looter shooter mechanics, and we're gonna make this a live service for 10 years. And they didn't accomplish what they set out to accomplish. They lied to everybody during the gameplay showcasing and all that stuff. Wasn't actually real gameplay. Some whatever they concocted within the first, like, I think 8 months or whatever. Because technically Anthem was being built in 13 months from the information that I found out about and read about. But it is nice to see CD Projekt Red. And I mean, like, even before then too, it's like even before Phantom Liberty, CD Projekt Red had been like, they've dropped that I've downloaded patches for CyberPunk because I bought it on GOG because I wanted to directly support CD Projekt Red on this game because I love CD Projekt Red and I love all of the games that they made prior to CyberPunk, and that's not to say that CyberPunk, like, to me, CyberPunk wasn't necessarily a terrible god awful game. It was just elements of it were clearly broken, and some of those elements were very significant and important to the overall happiness of consumers when playing that game. So like, like the story is amazing. Voice actors, amazing. I'm attached. I mean, yeah, but even just besides Keanu, like all of the big names, like, a lot of the smaller characters within that game too, is like I'm attached to some of those characters and stuff. And so it's like, the story is great. The story is amazing. Graphically, it looks amazing, but it's just that it failed to mismanagement once again by, too many cooks in the kitchen. Executives got their hands in the creative process like they should not have. And it's just, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But one of the good things though is that, this is like a complete like overhaul, and VGC goes on a more detailed list of this. We're just going to point out just a few, but they go, they kind of had an interview with, some of the game directors at CD Projekt Red as well. And some of the ones that are still supporting the game as well. And they kind of go over the, and they say that all the core main systems of the game have been redone or updated in a major way. The biggest ones are the perks and skill trees, which have been rebuilt completely. And the next one is we've added vehicle combat, which enables new car chases, which is also amazing. So that means that you'll kind of have like these kind of dynamic situations that happen within the world of Night City. And this will kind of like create new story elements as well. I'm hoping. They also go on to say that we've also greatly expanded AI and completely redone the police system. This was something that actually needed to be done because the police system is one of the most complained about features of the game, where, and I can attest to this in my own experience, where I remember playing the game and I remember when I remember hearing about like the police, the incidents happening with other gamers and how police acted upon them performing certain actions in the game. And I remember just wanting to test this out for myself, because typically I kind of play responsibly when I play these type of games. Like it's like if I can make my own character kind of role play and kind of I kind of like to play within my role when I'm actually playing the game and stuff. And if I'm more like a tech person, if I'm more into like tech hacking and stealth and stuff, because with my character that I have, I more specialize in melee weapons and pistols, whereas more like I like to use a katana. I like to pull out a pistol and stuff like that and have like an auto pistol for more like all out shooting incidences and stuff like that. So what I found out in my experience in playing is that during the police, like during incidents of where I would like murder a random NPC on the street, whether it be by gun or whether it be by melee weapon, there was a probability that the police would just not show up at all. Sometimes they would show up, sometimes they wouldn't. Then if I were to hit someone with my vehicle, that's when police cars, the android or robots would show up, and they would just spawn immediately at my location. And this is something that I thank God that they're like redoing, because now it kind of functions more like Grand Theft Auto, how you have a tiered star system now. Yeah, I guess Anthony is really good that you kind of just, you're kind of like a late bloomer, and you'll get into it later because you're going to get like a more complete product now. Yeah, basically. So you're gonna get like a complete product now, and I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people are waiting for. The ones that didn't purchase the game day one, or anything like that. I do know that I had a better experience on PC than console players than Xbox and PS4. Even some PlayStation 5 console. Yeah, even some PlayStation 5 console. Yeah, some. Yeah.
We didn't know what they did. Just pure, utter ridiculousness of how bad the game was.
Yeah, I've heard some. I've like seen some people on Reddit complain about them having a PS5 and them having graphical issues where textures, frame rates would just drop. People probably T-posing on PS5 too. And like I said, I attribute that to them. They even said it themselves. It's like trying to build the railroad track while the train is moving. And they're referring to trying to develop a game at the same time that's developing the engine for the game. And it goes back to what we said before when speaking about Fable and Playground games, the people who make Forza, creating a game that is not necessarily, that is ambitious for the engine that you're trying to run it on. Yes, it looks pretty. Exactly. Like, yes, it looks pretty, but like, can this engine do the things that you needed to do within the realm of this game? And that's kind of what CyberPunk fell victim to. Yes, CyberPunk, like CD Projekt Red, their niche or their bread and butter is open world games, open world RPG games. That's what they're great at. Granted, Cyberpunk is on a completely different scale than The Witcher is. It's completely different than you having like a vast world of just trees, landscaping, building, and like a few villages within the map.
Your main travel thing is a horse.
It's a horse, which is much
Motorcycle or cars or anything.
exactly, which is much slower in traveling, which means that there's more render time, so there's more time for things to get rendered in game while you're moving at a slower momentum or slower rate versus driving in a car or a motorcycle that's moving at a faster rate, things like that. Exactly. And so that that was one of the main things that contributed to the downfall of the release of Cyberpunk 2077. But great, they've redone the entire police system, expanded the AI, which is one of the key components that I always try to emphasize with gaming, is that like you need to have great AI behaviors in games like this. And that's why I think Rockstar does it so good. It's because they set their AI behavior is so dynamic that random events happen and it feels natural a lot of the times. I can probably say this more towards Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 has more of that to me than Grand Theft Auto. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 is so like organic feeling that sometimes it can really immerse you into playing the character and stuff like that. And it can really actually like even like incidences of trust and mistrust, with people just coming up asking you for help, and it can possibly set you up for some dire consequences. Yeah, like it can probably set you up for some dire consequences later on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think Rockstar does it really great, but I'm glad they're expanding on AI though. But they also go on to say, which is rebuilt from the ground up and now has multiple levels with multiple archetypes of enemies who will chase you. It's also different in Dogtown compared to Night City, which is great because Phantom Liberty takes place in Dogtown. So the whole entire DLC, you're going to spend most of your time there versus Night City. So that's great. They also go on to say that we've also redone the loop and whole progression of the game. The difficulty curve is different. The tiers and drops of loot is different. The archetypes of enemies has been redone for more variety. Those are the core things that we've changed. And if you look into, there are very few systems that we didn't change or update. Even the UI and the UX have been greatly updated, which is also great because I know there were some complaints about that. But yeah, man, it's nice to kind of get like a revamped version of Cyberpunk because I do think it needed it. And I do think that, Cyberpunk is a great game, man. You shouldn't leave it, in a state that it's in. And I'm so glad that CD Projekt Red is like, exactly. But yeah, do you have any other, any other points you want to point out with this? I know you were talking about some of the weapons. I know you're talking about the cyber psychosis that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, that's the cyber psychosis thing is pretty damn dope because like I love
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting to see that implemented in the game. And to tell you the truth, I'm just waiting to play this game now after this whole update and DLC.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna want to play,
Yeah.
which is what I was waiting for. To
Yeah.
be honest with you.
Yeah, I know you're gonna like it, especially if you like the anime, because they added the same ability that was in Edge Runners. That was, I can't remember the main character's name though, but in Edge Runners though, the cyberware that he had on his body is something you can actually have in the game now.
Oh, like the Sandestime or something like that.
Yeah, I think it is, and it's like a military tiered cyberware. And he stole it from another guy. He stole it from another military personnel that went into cyber psychosis and started murdering a lot of people. But
That scene was cool as hell.
it was. But yeah, so you can actually get that now. Actually, another point I wanted to point out too that isn't in this article, but VGC also did like a full breakdown of the different features that are going to be added. But as far as melee goes, and this is something that I'm excited for because my character is melee focused, is that with the katana now you can actually block bullets, which is actually pretty dope. Because I remember in the trailers before the game released, if you look at the initial announcement trailers or some of those Night City live streams that they did, they showed you blocking bullets with your katana, as well as the mantis blades. The mantis blades allowing you to kind of like latch onto walls, crawl over walls and stuff like that. Like, I wanted to know where did that go on, in from the trailer to the actual game. Like, I wanted to be able to do a lot of that stuff. Oh yeah, and another thing too that I also forgot to mention too is that they're also going to be adding, as far as the melee and vehicle combat, is if you're on a motorcycle and you have a katana, you can swing your katana on the motorcycle now. So that's kind of like also something that's actually really dope too. But we'll put this article we'll link it in the description if you guys want to check it out. If you guys want to go in and kind of do like a deep dive of all the different components. If you haven't purchased CyberPunk yet, I would definitely wait until Phantom Liberty releases. Or if you already purchased CyberPunk and you're just like me, you just haven't played the game yet in a while or whatever like that, like, they do recommend waiting until Phantom Liberty releases, because it's going to kind of like be a complete overhaul of the game. So I recommend not doing any more missions or anything getting closer to Dog City, because this main DLC takes place there. I do recommend waiting until the actual release of the DLC, do the patches, do the updates, and then going in and completing missions to kind of open up Dog City for you, because I think I've opened up Dog City already. So I may end up hopefully I'm pretty sure none of my saves is gonna get tampered with or get corrupted or anything like that. But just to avoid anything like that, I would definitely recommend not going too far into the story yet. But yeah, we'll move on from. Oh, actually, too, one more other thing that I wanted to mention too is the PC specs. And for this is specifically pertaining to Phantom Liberty. The PC specs don't look too ridiculous. They're actually pretty, tame. If you're doing they have it for ray tracing, non-ray tracing. Obviously, if you're doing ray tracing, you're definitely gonna want to get you like a 4080, a 40 series card. Some of these though, I have me a 2080. So I definitely, and I've run like CyberPunk currently in its state now with the 2080 at ultra settings. But granted, I run it at 1440p, not 4K. But I run it at 1440p with 120 frames per second. So some of these are forgiving. But yeah, PC specs don't look too crazy, not too bad. You can basically, minimum specs 1080p. With a 1060. So that's it's kind of like, basic, way better than, definitely way better than Starfield's PC specs from what I saw. You're going to need 125 gigs of solid state drive space to be able to run that game from what I saw, especially given the fact that, console players are locked at 30 FPS. Yeah, console players.
Five, they're like Call of Duty right there with all the
Yeah,
Modern Warfare, the season passes and all that crap. Like, why does the game need to be so damn big?
yeah. Look, they're touting we have over 1,000 planets, and I'm just like, yeah, but your game's not optimized, bro. It's like that vast amount of space doesn't mean anything if your game isn't optimized, to be able to handle that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
Procedurally generated, so it's pretty much like the same.
exactly. So it's just like like I said, I will always forever support having smaller scope with more detail. If they would have just did one galaxy with 5 planets, but all of those planets were handcrafted by the developers and each one was a different biome, each one was different and stuff like that, I would like that game would be like, I would be excited for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like you can put much more time and resources into that. And I really wish developers would get out of that mind space of bigger is better, because bigger isn't always better. Like having a smaller scope, but you sink a bunch of like time, like elements, all kind of stuff into this story elements, side quests, dynamic events that take place. Like there's so much other elements of a game that can make a game feel vast without it actually being vast. You know what I'm saying? So, but as far as these specs, not too bad. Not, you know what I'm saying? That's not too intensive. 4080 for 4K with ray tracing. So I mean, and I'm pretty sure most people out there who can afford that, they don't have a 4080. A 4080 is a waste of time. If you're gonna get a 4080, you should have got a 4090, because a 4080 is literally a 4080 is not that different than like a 40 from what I saw. The specs is not that much. You don't get that much power overhaul versus a 4070 at all. So it's like, or 4070 Ti. So you probably bet people who can do ray tracing at 4K 60 most likely have a 4090. So, but those specs aren't that bad. So moving on, we do have some new information, some more gameplay of the Ubisoft game, the Ubisoft Star Wars game that got announced. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this? And I'll give mine, because I know you have a completely different, opinion than I do when it comes to the gameplay a little bit.
Well, I'm very glad that they actually came out with a bit more gameplay than just that teaser that they did at what was it, Summer Games Fest?
Yeah.
Is that the one they released it on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this game does look a hell of a lot better once you see the gameplay aspect of it. Still not, like, that inclined to love the character, the main character that you play as. She kind of seems like a Peter Parker clone styled like character. It's just not something that I'm like, too vibing with right now, because of like I just can't see myself like being like, oh yeah, I love this character. I can't wait to play this game over and over, but the gameplay itself, I will play it for that, and that looks really freaking good. I like being able to just like, it's like GTA mixed with RPG elements and also Star Wars. So like, how can you go wrong with that? Like the graphics look amazing. So I'm totally here for this game, but I don't see myself falling in love with this character.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that during the gameplay that I witnessed, I actually like the gameplay. I do get what you understand. I do get what you're talking about with the character itself. I do think the character is kind of very, very cheesy, very safe. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I've seen this character somewhere before, in other games or just in other movies too. But I will say though, this game did surprise me. Yeah, it definitely surprised me. I thought that I thought that the game itself looked amazing. I did get some Uncharted vibes, and I'll compare this to Uncharted just because of the platforming, the action, the cutscenes, the transitions between and like, if you can remember how Uncharted, like they kind of like perfected that formula of like gameplay to cutscene back to gameplay. And that's what that transition, that's what I saw a lot in this gameplay trailer. And I mean, like, it also surprised me with the I mean, just the vastness that, you know, that they not say vast, with the options and tools at your disposal to be able to traverse from planet to planet. Like, you can just jump into your ship, kind of like how the Jedi Survivor and Forbidden a Fallen Order was. And that's one thing that I do like, is that jumping into a ship and then flying off into space seems seamless. And then also just the space combat, like the space combat looks pretty good. Yeah, space combat looks pretty good. I don't think I've ever seen Ubisoft do a game like just space combat like that before. So the team that they have working on this seems to be pretty like good at what they're doing. You know, the space dog fights and things like that. But I mean, it looked expansive. It looked like a nice open world. It looked like you're going to get a hefty amount of action, stuff like that. Yeah, I will say though, I'm not feeling the character. And I don't know, like it could just be the voice actress. I don't know, like her, like to me, it's like some of the things that she says. It could be the voice actress, or it could just be that the voice lines and the way that it was written just is just off putting. It almost feels like kind of out of place too. And I don't know, like that's kind of like what I'm getting at. You know, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's too late now. They can't change the character, and they can't go. You know, they can't go back and redo the. Too late now.
It's gonna be a game you play for fun, not for like story and love for the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, like
I'm sure most people wouldn't play for any of this.
exactly. Yeah, I think that you know, the game itself is very I don't want to say samey. I don't want to say samey because the gameplay looked amazing, but there's just something that, I mean, the space combat was great. The character is very off-putting, but I also feel like I don't want to get into that Ubisoft trap. There's some kind of reluctance. I don't want to get into that Ubisoft trap. Because you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, where you just go, you know, they do it in every game. They do it in Assassin's Creed. They do it in Far Cry and stuff like that. I don't want to get in that Ubisoft loop and that Ubisoft trap of like, yes, and going to go take over these like different settlements, and you take over this settlement, and then you get a little flag put there, and all of your different, like, you know, all of the different people from the Republic or whatever, from the I forgot what it's called in Star Wars. No, not the Empire. The people who fight against the Empire. What's the name? Star Wars. Yeah, the Rebel Alliance. Like, you know, you take over a settlement and the Rebel Alliance comes over and they free all of the slaves or whatever like that. Like, I don't want to get trapped into side quests like that. Like, do something different, Ubisoft. Don't do the same thing.
It seems like she's working against the Syndicate and the Empire and probably even the Rebel Alliance itself. She's doing her own thing, so I doubt that will be one of the things. It does seem like a bit different than what any Assassin's Creed has been. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see. I didn't see any of those, like, particular elements in it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
At least from the little bit of that we saw, but you never know. They could just be hiding it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, hopefully they don't. But I mean, all in all, showcase looked amazing. The gameplay was amazing. I'm still excited for it. Like I said, I think the character is just off-putting. And I do think that, well, I think the character dialogue is off-putting, and I do have some kind of reluctance to Ubisoft's like formula. I don't want to go in believing that they're gonna sneak that in there. But, you know, I have to still be cautious with my buying power, because I don't want to spend money on yet another game that falls victim to Ubisoft's formula again, you know. But, you know, all in all, looks great. Looks optimized, you know. Didn't see any frame drop. You know, I like the little companion Nyx, you know. It seems like it's going to be a very like Uncharted type of game where, you know, you're going to get some fun action. You know, they may do some like fun banter, but from what I could tell, it's going to be very cheesy and very corny. So I mean, and probably some cringe thrown in there too. And it's going to be like, I don't know if that didn't land right with me. You know, especially given the fact that it's a very story driven game. So, you know, but yeah, moving on though. We also have some news. I guess people are upset that Prince of Persia looks the way that it looks. Well, as far as plays. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like you explain why they shouldn't talk shit, Anthony. Explain it for them.
Well, from what you told me, it seems like Prince of Persia started off as a side scroller, so quit bitching about it being a side scroller.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like most people are upset at the fact that it's, you know, it's a 3D platformer. But if you've played Prince of Persia in the past, you know, I mean, granted, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, I'm old, but I'm not that old. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 30. I'll be 31 this year. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But I remember Prince of Persia being a side scroller, being a 2D side scroller at that. Like, so I mean, like, this game looks amazing. The gameplay looks amazing. Not only does the gameplay look amazing, and they're going back to their roots and introducing Prince of Persia because people have been asking for Prince of Persia for so long. One of the other great things about this is that even on Switch, it's going to be running at 60 FPS. That's also amazing because the Switch's hardware is not one to be touted for. Like, it's not one that's just like to be like praised. It doesn't have to. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that they can get this game to run 60 FPS on a Switch at what is the resolution 1080p on the Switch? It's on the Switch. So 1080p 60 frames per second. Yeah, 1080p 60 frames per second. I mean, like you know, this sounds like a well optimized game because, and I mean, like, if you could run it at 1080p on 60 frames per second on a Switch, bro, like, you know, you playing it on PS4, PS5. I don't know what y'all complaining about. You know what I'm saying? The game looks great. Graphics look amazing. You know what I'm saying? I like the art style. You know, the combat is what Prince of Persia like originally. Like, it almost seemed like they merged Prince of Persia: Sands of Time with the original Prince of with Prince of Persia 2. It seems like, yeah, from 93. So the one from 93, I can't remember the exact name, but it was Prince of Persia 2. It was a sequel. That one was mainly side scroller, just like this one is. But it seems like they kind of merged Sands of Time into this because it goes from a 3D side scroller to when you do like action sequences and you do like seems like his cinematic moves and stuff like that. It goes directly into like a full 3D like game that's not a side scroller. And you know, from what we saw too, from what I saw with some of the boss battles, man, like, this game looks amazing. This game looks like it's gonna have some solid boss battles. You know. Yes.
Bruh, this is a day one purchase for me.
Me too.
If you're talking shit, there's something wrong with you. Like, you'll talk shit about this being a side scroller, but then you'll go and play all the other indie side scrollers and love the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So what is the problem here?
Yeah.
We're finally getting Prince of Persia back. Like, I really don't get it. Like, it's literally been since what, like 2005?
Exactly.
Prince of Persia.
Yeah. It's
a good one, I should say, not the shitty remakes on PS4.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just stop bitching, man. This game looks great.
Yeah, if I had to choose, I think this is probably the best game that came out of Ubisoft Forward. In my opinion. This is the best game that came out of Ubisoft Forward, which is Ubisoft's showcase that they host every year. I think this is the best game that came out of Ubisoft, out of everything they showed, even the Star Wars game. You know, I'm excited for this. This is definitely gonna be day one. I'm purchasing it on Steam on PC because I want to also play it on my ROG Ally. So, you know, I spend so much time on it now. Like I'll transition from my PC. I'll be playing a game on my PC, and then I need to get me a new chair. So like my back be hurting because I need to get me a new chair, which I do plan on getting me. There's this Secret Labs Joker collection gaming chair where it comes with like a gaming desk too. But I'm just gonna get the chair. I'll play games on my PC and then save, exit, close out my PC, and then go boot up my ROG Ally and lay in bed and finish playing what I was playing. Like I put a lot of time into that ROG. Like it's very useful. I will say that much. And I have a vacation coming up pretty soon, so I plan on taking it with me, and I plan on gaming while I'm on the plane. Like it's a very it's a great companion. Way better than Project Q from PlayStation. Way better than Project Q from PlayStation. Just at least I can take it out of my house and not have to be connected to the Wi-Fi to play all my games on Steam. All my games are downloaded to that actual hard drive, and they're all single player games that don't require multiplayer at all. So I can just play them with no internet connection whatsoever, Or it has a built-in Wi-Fi connectivity. So I mean, like. Yeah, well, I got Wi-Fi on the plane, or I can use my phone as a hotspot in the airport. So it's like you can't do that with the Project Q. Project Q, you have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi that your PlayStation is connected to, and your PlayStation has to be on at the same time for you because it's remote play, so it has to be on at the same time. So yeah, exactly. So it's like, man, I've purchased about 3 or 4 indie games and side scrollers like this recently, and I mean I'm just adding this to my collection. I have a whole entire collection dedicated to indie games for my ROG Ally in my Steam store right now. But yeah, I'm excited for this, man. This was the best showing that they had at Ubisoft Forward. I'm excited for it. Can't wait for it, man. I'm ready for it. But moving on, we also have some information about Embracer Group and them laying off about nearly 17,000 workers, which we looked into. And as of June 20, I mean that is everybody apparently, except for executives. I mean, they may have a little bit more that's not being recorded from the studios that they purchased, but as of June 2023, they have 16,600 employees that work for them. Granted, that could be, numbers that are specifically catered to Embracer Group. That's not including, Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, all the other developers that they purchased. But 17,000 workers is a lot of damn workers. That's more than what Microsoft laid off, and Google. And Amazon, and it's all because of this $2 billion deal that fell through. I think so, yeah. Yep. And they, from Engadget, they kind of report that. So Embracer Group has announced a major restructuring of its business, which includes game cancellations, layoffs, and selling or closing studios, in an attempt to reduce costs and make the business more efficient. The news comes in the wake of the company revealing that a deal that would have been worth $2 billion in revenue over 6 years fell apart, despite Embracer having a verbal agreement from its unnamed proposed partner. I think that's where the entire thing breaks down for me, is the fact that you're making these moves based on a verbal agreement and not an actual contract. Yeah. So exactly.
That's a huge capital chunk right there that's literally wasted.
Exactly.
You fucked up the whole company, and now you can lay off people because of your mistake.
Exactly.
You should go.
Exactly.
Salary that's probably overinflated for absolutely no reason, and continue to pay the people who are actually putting in the work.
Exactly. You know what? That's one of the reasons why I always praise Nintendo, because Nintendo CEO has done that multiple times. Nintendo CEO, and whenever Nintendo has started seeing decreases in its value and employees will inevitably have to be affected by the consequences of that. The Nintendo CEO has personally taken portion of his salary and have like broken that down across the entire company so that they can be able to keep their employees on payroll. He's done that before. I think he's done it like 2 or 3 times.
That's what happens when you care about the business and not just how fat you can make your bank account.
Exactly. And so, yeah, man, it's terrible news to hear, man. Shit, like I've been laid off before. It's not anything that I wish upon people, and it's definitely very destructive to a person's like lifestyle and livelihood. But hopefully, man, some of these other some other developer companies can be able to come in, step in, and pick up some of the developers. I guarantee you, most of the workers there were probably devs that got laid off. I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can go to Arcane. I'm hoping even like studios like Embark Studios, which is a brand new development studio. They're working on games like Arc Raiders and The Finals, which are those developers are people who used to work on Battlefield. So it's like, I just got done playing The Finals last night. I'm gonna play some more today. The Finals is an amazing game. Like it's a free to play game, but it's a PvP 3v3 and the entire environment is destructive. Like, when I say like the entire environment is destructive, anything that you could blow up can get blown up. Buildings, rooms, skyscrapers, whatever. And they're just doing an amazing job with that game. I also requested access to Arc Raiders too, so I'm waiting to get into that so I can kind of test that out. I need to start doing impressions on some of these games that I'm talking about, but that may be something that we do later on in the expansion of the channel and everything like that. But there's opening, they're looking for people. Even like this, we reported last week, CD Projekt Red veterans have opened up a new studio called Blank. Hopefully, they could kind of find some of these guys, pick them up, man, and, bring them into the fold and help work on the new post-apocalyptic game that they're working on, But yeah, it is just terrible news, man. Another thing too is that even though some of the studios that they purchase, it doesn't seem like this mass layoff is going to affect Embracer Group releasing those games like Tomb Raider, like a new Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, and Legacy of Kain. I know all of those. Yeah. See, the problem with this now is that they're even supposed to be doing like multiple Lord of the Rings games. Given the fact that most of your workforce, or a lot of your workforce is gone, how does that affect the progress of these games? How does that affect the quality of these games? Like when you
want Lord of the Rings to be the biggest franchise of gaming history. So.
Exactly, when you start seeing these major shifts like this, it's like what else is this particular move connected to? I don't want any of, especially Deus Ex. Like Deus Ex is one of my favorite franchises that Square Enix used to release. Like Eidos Montreal, they do such an amazing job with that franchise. Mankind Divided didn't really live up to what it needed to live up to. It was a much change. It was a different change in pace than the original two, Human Revolution, and the original Deus Ex game, but I still, all in all, thought that was a pretty solid game. But yeah, I don't like Deus Ex is one of those titles that I definitely want to see come back in a better way. But yeah, it's unfortunate, man. But I do hope they end up finding a new home, new place to work at, man, and continue making great games, man. It's a different. I put all that blame on executives, man. I'm always going to put blame on executives and corporations and stuff like that because they continuously they could do that, and they continuously degrade and destroyed the economy with their, risky moves and the way that they operate a lot of the times. But exactly, man, it's ridiculous. But all right, moving on. We also have Forza Motorsport. Man, you know what? This is I was excited for Forza Motorsport, but after hearing this shit, I'm just like, I don't know, bro. Like, this type of shit is not always good. Free play is still available offline, but why does career mode progression need to have an active internet connection? I don't understand the reasoning behind that. Hopefully they can elaborate more. My thing is that I've seen the same type of shit happen with Gran Turismo 7. And when Gran Turismo 7 first got announced, they announced an always online connection, even though that game has single player components. The majority of the game is single player. There's only one aspect of it that's multiplayer. And my thing is that, the main reason why that's a bad thing is because, and I hope this doesn't happen to Forza, but Gran Turismo fell victim to that same kind of mindset and move that and the decision of making that game always online. And then as soon as the game released, servers went down for about 7 or 8 days. So when the servers go down and you have an always online game, nobody can play your game. So then you just have a bunch of people online voicing their opinions for 7 days until you can fix the problem. And this is why this is such a bad decision. You don't need a career mode. The career mode is typically, from what I played from old Forza games, that's typically just a single player game mode, And I don't understand, I understand multiplayer being a always online component, you know what I'm saying? Because you're playing with, it's necessary, but the career mode is not necessary. It shouldn't be necessary for always online multiplayer. But they come out and saying that, Forza Motorsport is claimed to be the most advanced racing game ever made. So the expectations of this title are sky high. However, Turn 10 has revealed a piece of information that might be disappointing for some users. According to the developer, the career mode in the game will require a steadfast internet connection. The game requires an active internet connection for the progression system. The requirement ensures a safe and fair experience. That sounds like bullshit to me. That sounds like bullshit to me. That sounds like you have some monetization that you want to implement. That sounds like, I don't understand how. I mean, if you want it to be safe and fair, then wouldn't you just have it not be connected to the internet? So then that way people can just play within their own enclosed environment. I don't understand how. I don't understand how you creating a internet connection, which opens up a person's environment to a vast majority of people, especially if you play on PC. I don't understand how it's more safe to put it on a platform that allows multiple connections throughout the internet, throughout a wide variety of regions, and servers and things like that, versus having it locked down to something that's local within an enclosed environment that's not accessible to others from outside of your region. I don't understand how that makes more sense to put it online. Granted, I'm not a developer. I don't know how they develop their game, but I work with developers and I kind of have an insight on how, people, develop software. So, and this just sounds kind of counterintuitive. It said, and they go on to state that any progression in the game will be stored on our servers. There are options to play offline, so things like free play are always available, but any progression requires an online connection.
Makes absolutely no sense.
It makes sense if you're trying to monetize the game. It makes sense if you're trying to add battle passes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. This car game, dude.
That's what I mean. Just think about it, like custom skins, custom rims.
You mean wraps?
I mean your wraps or body kits. You know, like
Never get away from the microtransactions.
no.
Why did this become a thing? It's just so stupid. I can't believe we can't get a full game anymore for the buy-in price.
It's
Jesus.
it's just I don't understand. I don't understand the process. I don't understand the move to this.
Because Gran Turismo did it, so they're like, oh, we should do it too.
And Gran Turismo got a lot of flack. Like people got pissed. People stopped. People like literally was boycotting the game because of them making it always online and them making it completely unobtainable to purchase games with in-game currency without actually paying actual money for it. To the point to where like it requires them to spend like almost $240 to be able to buy one car in the game. Like I just like I understand that you know development companies and publishers need to make money off their games, especially like with manufacturing companies like Xbox. They need to make money on video games to subsidize the consoles, but there's a limit to you know the amount of bullshit that people can handle. And my thing is like, look, people are already upset with the fact that you don't have any exclusives. People are already upset with the fact that you know, dropped a shit exclusive like Redfall. That was supposed to be the first exclusive to the entire Xbox franchise. And now you're doing shit like always online progress for career mode, which kind of tells me that you want to put in some kind of microtransaction into the progression, because it sounds like the progression is going to be a battle pass. So it sounds like you do a race, you know, or time trial. So if you do time trials, depending on what time you get during your time trial, it will unlock a specific part of the battle pass, and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't get it, man. Like I don't get it. Like it's just like, I mean, I don't get it why they're doing it for Forza, but I do understand why they're doing it in general. And it's just asinine, man. It's stupid. It's greed, corporate greed. That's all I could chop it up to corporate greed, man. But I mean, I'm still excited for Forza. Hopefully they change this. Hopefully, because Forza is literally like Forza used to be the face of Xbox before Horizon. Like Forza was the face of every time you bought a brand new Xbox, you got Forza with it. So it's like Forza was the face of Xbox. So hopefully they change it, man. Hopefully they kind of do a redirect, you know, call an audible on this shit. You know what I'm saying? Change that play up. But all right, moving on. We also have this. I know you had some something to talk about this as well. Like this shit here is getting ridiculous. And like, so Blizzard nerfs Diablo 4's best dungeons to farm XP and loot, sparking backlash, which I'm not surprised by, especially given the fact that this shit is monetized out the ass. So
That's exactly why they're doing it, so you can pay for your loot, pay for the rules to get the loot, instead of getting the XP and getting the better loot drops. It's so obvious, like it's disgusting.
Yep. And it's just like, it goes back to what I said, man. Like, I still haven't purchased Diablo 4, and nor will I. At this point, I don't think I'm ever going to purchase Diablo 4, even though I enjoyed playing the closed beta. I enjoyed playing it. I unlocked my little wolf cub and everything during the beta and stuff like that. But man, I cannot just like support a game that does this kind of shit. I don't want to play a game where they're forcibly making me grind, so that way I feel more inclined to purchase shit with actual money. And that's, if you want people to support your game and purchase your shit, then do it organically in a way that benefits the consumer. Not necessarily being like, I'm about to tie one hand behind your back and throw your goddamn head to the table and you gonna purchase this shit, or you gonna grind this shit for the rest of your life. Like,
It's not even like a light nerf. In this article, they show from, like, typically getting from 1 to 60 would take anywhere from 60 to 80 hours, depending on, like, which dungeon you're doing with, like, the main XP bosses and stuff like that. But they literally doubled it. Some people are saying now it's practically like 185
That's ridiculous.
Like, that is just disgusting.
It's ridiculous, man.
Bro, like, is Blizzard really that, like, bad off that they need this type of money?
I mean, no.
Is Blizzard going under business? Do we need to start a GoFundMe? Shit like this?
I mean, look, man, they coming off the heels of Diablo Immortal, which made them billions of dollars. I think it made them like $20 billion last year on Diablo Immortal. And I'm just like, bro, like this shit is getting out of hand. This shit's ridiculous. So I mean, like, you know, good for the people that enjoy the game. You know, this is probably something that I'm probably not gonna buy. I was excited for it originally, but it's just I don't want to purchase a game that's just forcibly making me, you know, grind something and that I have to pay. I want to be able to support a developer naturally by just being like, yo, you're doing a lot of shit to benefit, you know what I'm saying, the consumer. Let me go ahead and pay that back. Let me pay that forward by buying your for instance, like that's one reason why I like CD Projekt Red and CyberPunk 2077. Even though their game was broken and busted as shit at the beginning and shit like that, like they didn't do anything egregious to make me like be like, you know, to try to force my hand and purchase and shit. Like they're charging $30 for Phantom Liberty. I'll gladly buy that because I know it comes with a bunch of fixes and a bunch of features that I don't otherwise. I'm not forced to purchase. You know?
Content, not just stupid ass loot.
Exactly.
It's like character, like customization stuff. It's like none of it really even benefits the player as it is, anyways.
Exactly. So.
It's usually just like clothes.
Exactly. But it's crazy, man. But moving on, we also. Oh, you had one more thing to say about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I saw that they did like a little cop out where they're like, oh, we're doing it because we want them to get out of the dungeons and expand on the open world aspect of it. Bro, it's a dungeon crawler.
Exactly. That's the,
People like leave the main point of the game.
that's the main purpose.
Shit that no one cares about.
Exactly. That's the main purpose of the game. The main purpose of the game is to be able to do that. But it's Blizzard, man. I chop it up to Blizzard. I chop it up to Greed. I chop it up to
They're going broke.
that shit's crazy. That shit's crazy. But all right, moving on. Xbox Game Studio CEO says that they're creating new Halo titles, and this is gonna surprise you, but well, you know, they're getting the supporting team that helped 343 make the Halo Infinite game. They're going to be heading the game now. And with an interview with Axios, Xbox Game Studio head Matt Booty, you know, because we love that booty. He hinted that future installments of Halo will not be developed by 343 Industries, but by an unnamed company. All right. So then he goes on to say that it is possible that work on future Halo games will be outsourced to Certain Affinity. So this is it could be, it's a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt. This I hope this does not go through because they go on to say that Certain Affinity, the studio that helped develop and support Halo Infinite, this team has a lot of experience with high-end shooters such as Call of Duty, Left 4 Dead, and Doom. 2 out of 3 of those are good games. Depends on what Call of Duty they helped on. I don't know what Call of Duty they helped on, but it better not be a shit one. I would assume it was a shit one because yeah, I mean, I would assume it was a shit one because Halo Infinite was shit. So even like the multiplayer was terrible. Like the deep.
Halo has been bad since Bungie left.
I know. That's what I'm saying. 343 has not, like 343. They've done a terrible job with Halo, man. Their entire career, like touching that game. But I know, right? But I guess Certain Affinity is supposed to be working on it. So, man, I don't know, man. It's we can only hope that this isn't true, or Certain Affinity kind of does a better job than 343 did with Halo. But yeah, expect your new Halo game to be 50% good or 50% bad, or like get a 50-50% chance of you having a good Halo game or a terrible Halo game. That's all we can say. Yeah, I'm very skeptical of just Halo in general at this moment. Halo hasn't been good since Reach. I know you said ODST was the last one, but Halo Reach for me was the last good one. But yeah, moving on though, our last thing that I kind of wanted to point out is that Final Fantasy 16 is now receiving a day one patch, and the great thing about this is that the developers took in some feedback, man. Took in some feedback from the demo, and they're going to do a day one patch. Not that major, not too big. I think the day one patch is about 300 megabytes. But it's supposed to be able to maintain 60 FPS. And that's one thing that I noticed during the demo, that it didn't hold a consistent 60 frames. I could tell during my time that there was some dips in frame rate depending on what area I move into. If I'm transitioning between and I won't give any like story elements, but if you're transitioning between one area to another area, there are certain areas at the beginning, once they allow you to have a little bit more freedom to run around, there's some dips in frame rate that I can tell. So that's one of the things that I noticed too as well. But they, one thing I will say though is that, I know we reported on before that, I don't think we reported on, but there was news about Final Fantasy having like low pre-order numbers. I think after this demo, okay, yeah. So we talked about so much, my mind is going. But exactly, but there was some pre-order issues with Square Enix and them people pre-ordering Final Fantasy 16. I think after this demo, the pre-orders are going to increase. I think after this, especially knowing that there's going to be a day one patch as well. I know my time with, yes, from my time with the demo, I won't give away any story elements, but my time with the demo, man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the combat. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. I'm already attached to the characters now. And man, it's very mature. That's one thing I will say. It's different from the Final Fantasy games previous. Like playing Final Fantasy 7 seems like you're playing a PG-13 movie. This game here is very much on the cusp of like Game of Thrones type mature. You're gonna get a lot of blood. You're gonna get a lot of decapitation. No nudity. Nothing like that. No flaccid. Yeah. Yeah. No flaccid nudity, but yeah, like it's one of the more mature Final Fantasy games that I played. Even Final Fantasy 15 was still like a PG-13 movie. And that's one thing I do love because since it's more mature, there's more character development. There's more character development. There's less like, fun banter or anything like that. Like even with Final Fantasy 7 remake, there was character development and things like that going on, but I also felt like it was very like cartoony. And this does not feel cartoony at all. The voice actors are amazing. The setting is amazing. Like the set pieces, the different elements within the game, it all blends together very nicely. There seems like a lot of effort that went into this game, and I'm so glad that Final Fantasy 16 fixes a lot of the mistakes that Final Fantasy 15 had. And so, but yeah, I'm excited for this game, man. I'm definitely pre-ordering it. It comes out sooner than I thought. I thought it was coming out like in July, but it actually releases June 22nd. So. Yeah, it releases next week.
Now you know why they pushed that demo, hoping to get the pre-order so they can get the buys.
Exactly. So I'm definitely pre-ordering mine next week. And it's gonna require 100 gigs on PS5. It's a PS5 exclusive, so make sure you free up some space. If you all you Call of Duty players need to uninstall it if you plan on playing Final Fantasy.
200 gigs.
Exactly. 200 gigs of dead weight. And. But yeah, so and the patch itself is only gonna be 300 megabytes. So for all the people that have already pre-purchased the game and started doing the pre-download of it, just know that day one you'll have another 300 megabytes to install as well. And
Page out of Tears of the Kingdom's book right there because it did the exact same thing. Day one patch for frame dropping.
Yeah, so. I mean, this is going to be great, man. I'm excited for it. I plan on sinking a lot of time into this game. Like, I plan on sinking, like, a large amount of time into this game. I couldn't find a collector's edition for this game because I wanted to pre-order it after After playing the demo, I want to pre-order the collector's edition of the pre-order demo. I couldn't find it, which is fine, which is great, you know. But I definitely am gonna get the deluxe edition though, for sure. So yeah, I'm excited, man. Do you have anything else that you want to speak on with Final Fantasy?
I mean, no, just that I'm now dying to play this demo. So
That works.
if it turned you into a day one buyer, pre-order buyer, I definitely want to see what's going on with this demo.
Man, demo's about, from what I could tell, about an hour and almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I saw they had a few chapters in the first part of the game that they mentioned when you start to play.
Yeah,
And you get to carry over your save data.
exactly, which is nice.
That feature and let you know right at the beginning of the demo.
Yep. So you don't have to do none of that stuff when you buy the game. It's all, you just start from where you left off at the demo.
Yep, that's
So
what's up.
that's what's up, definitely. But that's it for today, guys, man. Thank you guys for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the content, always make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, man. And what else do they need to do, Anthony? Tell them what do they need to do to be able to always stay tuned.
Click that damn bell.
You better hit that damn bell, and you better hit it like you mean it. You better smash that damn bell. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. Take it easy.